I have played around 50 hours or so of Phantom Liberty so far, and there are a ton of things I think would be helpful to know. The first thing you'll probably be wondering is how to get Relic skill points and what you should spend them on first. The good thing is that you can unlock all of these, so there's really no wrong answer here. There are 9 restricted data terminals in Phantom Liberty, all of which reward you with Relic points, and then the rest are obtained through the story. We will also go over every single one of these locations to get all of the 9 Relic skill points here in just a minute. Another thing you should definitely go check out, especially if you're playing on PC, is in your settings and over to some of the graphics settings. Thanks to NVIDIA for sponsoring this video and sending over a 4090 so you can see this gameplay in its fullest possible quality. CD Projekt Red and NVIDIA have been working on this new DLSS 3.5 portion of the update, so they just want me to show you how to use it and the best settings you should be using. If you have a 40 series GPU, you're going to see insane benefits to ray tracing and path tracing while simultaneously getting even better performance. This update is giving us full ray tracing, which gives you a much more accurate form of lighting, which in turn just makes everything look insane. This uses things like RTX direct illumination to give us almost any light source like the neon signs, headlights, street lamps, and billboards. All of that light is now ray traced, making it a lot more realistic looking and accurate. Watching it on YouTube isn't even going to do it justice. You're going to notice it a lot more while playing the actual game, especially in terms of getting higher frame rates at the same time. A lot of the higher frame rate and better performance is thanks to frame generation. There's a lot more technical stuff going on here, but basically they've brought full ray tracing to the game, which looks incredible, while simultaneously performing a lot better. So go into your settings, and under the main presets, you can actually just scroll on over to Overdrive Mode. And again, this is going to require a 40 series graphics card to take advantage of that. This makes it so that all this stuff introduced in this update is automatically turned on, like DLSS, Ray Reconstruction, and frame generation as well. If frame generation isn't able to be turned on, you probably need to go into your settings, go to System, and then you should be on Display, where you can scroll to the bottom and then click on Graphics Settings, where you can toggle on Hardware Accelerated GPU Scheduling. It's up to you if you want to turn this on, but it is required to be able to toggle frame generation, which as of now, frame generation is required to be able to use Overdrive Mode. I originally started playing this update and Phantom Liberty on a 3080, and it was fine. I was also playing on a 4K monitor with everything on high, and I didn't have any issues really at all. But after I started playing this on a 4090, there's just no way I can go back. It's not just the extra power of a 40 series versus older generations, but the fact that this update is just game changing for Cyberpunk. The fact that the game looks this good while having this much going on and is still actually boosted in its performance is crazy to me. Iconic weapons can be upgraded up to tier 5++. These upgrades are completely worth it, but these cost a lot of legendary crafting components, which are now called iconic crafting components. Tier 5++ generally costs about 200 just for that tier alone. Luckily in Phantom Liberty, they become pretty easy to come by, and there are a couple of different methods you can use. Dismantling legendary weapons gives you 5 iconic crafting components. Legendary weapons are super easy to come by in here, like they're literally everywhere, but you can also farm legendary weapons by going to any big area that has a lot of enemies, such as the higher tier crimes that you'll come by that are marked with the triple skull icon. I believe they're called increased criminal activity. There's one at the mall toward this end of Dogtown, which we'll also travel to later on in the video. There's one over here, and then there's a third, I believe, somewhere over here on the map. These crimes will respawn, so you can keep coming back occasionally, and they refresh pretty quick, but the containers here and the mini boss fight that is at each one generally drop really good loot, and they all have a cache with really good loot nearby where you will usually find a giant chunk of iconic crafting components on top of all of those legendary weapons that you'll find here, and all of these increased crime activities will also reward you with an iconic weapon. Again, you can keep coming here over and over to farm these. I believe you wait another day or so. Sometimes I just fast travel to one location, come back, and it respawns. You also want to take part in all of their airdrops whenever you see them in Dogtown. You'll be able to hear a plane flying by, followed by the red smoke coming from the drop. Enemies will usually drop some legendary gear, but the crate generally contains legendary and iconic gear on top of a bunch of other really good loot, such as these shards that are like permanent upgrades to your character. Those shards are really good items to grab. Some of them will be XP shards for certain skills to level up fast. Others will permanently upgrade your carry capacity, health, or even your RAM. You can find a bunch of these that you're able to grab early at the black market area in the Coliseum. This shop upstairs, for example, has one here, but a lot of the vendors here have some. Like this guy actually has quite a few that you'll want to purchase as soon as possible, as well as some of the BDs. Those BDs aren't very important. They're kind of like just lore stuff if you want to see more of the Cyberpunk universe. Here at the black market is also where you can purchase any iconic weapon that you missed in the base game. So for example, if you missed the Satori and iconic throwable knife during the main story mission, The Heist, at the top of Konpeki Plaza, which I know a lot of people missed that knife if you didn't start a new game because they just added it into update 2.0. And there is a method to get back up to the top of Konpeki Plaza, but it often doesn't allow you to grab some of that loot. However, you can purchase both of them from the black market in order to save you a ton of time. Some of the iconic cyberware that you get for rewards in the base game and often take a ton of time can also be found in those airdrops that we went over. Or David Sandevistan, the Militech apogee, can be looted in random crates in the base game or in Phantom Liberty, or you can grab it from the Ripper Dock here, and the Ripper Docks in Phantom Liberty are where you can grab almost any new iconic cyberware that was introduced in this update. Some of these are obtainable for mission rewards in the base game, but they take a ton of time to finish. Here, you can just purchase them. So we talked a bit about weapon tiers, but everything now has tiers that goes up to tier 5++. There is a plus tier for every number, so tier 1, then 1+, tier 2, tier 2+, all the way up to 5++. You can now upgrade them immediately as long as you have the materials, and getting a legendary iconic to 5++ can be very expensive. Like we already went over how to get the crafting materials, but again, it is worth it in terms of extra damage that weapon will now do. As you level up, finding tier 5 weapons isn't uncommon at all. You'll find plenty laying around everywhere. This update makes almost every weapon usable and kept up to your level all the way to end game. Since they don't really go by their looted level, you can just keep upgrading them. They stay consistently doing the same damage as you go. But the upgrade system only applies to iconic weapons, making those even more valuable now. Besides that, 2.0 has brought a bunch of new iconic weapons, and basically every iconic weapon that has been given an ability if it didn't have one already. Phantom Liberty takes that and adds even more, bringing somewhere around 20 or so additional iconic weapons. Pretty much all of them being really cool and some of the most powerful weapons in the game. I'm not going to really show them here in case you want to see them for yourself, but I will eventually have a separate video on them. So just a bonus tip before we dive deeper into all of those Relic skill points. At the very least, for your first playthrough, try to take your time and enjoy the story. This is one of the best DLCs I've played for an open world game, and in my opinion, the missions and story here are even better than the base game. This is like a prime example of quality over quantity in my opinion. Dogtown is one of the smallest areas in the game, yet there is so much going on here that it feels like it's its own open world. I can't recall a single boring mission in the story, and it is also a ton of fun. I just say that because in my opinion, even watching these Relic Point locations would be a spoiler for me, just because I feel like you should explore this place for yourself first. So over to the Relic skill points locations, there are 9 of them. I'm going to show you all of them. The first is here at the Black Market in the Coliseum. You get here like basically right at the start of the game. If you fast travel to the fast travel point that lies like in the center of this area, you'll start out near the bronze statue with the football players. Just head on straight past those where you'll find all of the vendors in the big shop area. Speed on past everyone, passing the Black Market iconic seller, where again you can get those iconic weapons from, but on past him and down to the lower floor and then back up the stairs where you will find your first Relic Point over in the corner.
What's that? Ah, shit, wait.
I'm going in sort of like an order here, but the next Relic Point isn't far away at all. It's just outside of the dome, and right as you exit that Coliseum, you'll see a big green tower. Just in the front of it is a set of stairs that you can use to get all the way up there. And as you come up the stairs, pretty much immediately after you get up there, just over to the right, you will find a data terminal containing a Relic Point. Traveling just barely across the street here, now instead of being on the opposite side of the pyramid, we're like literally just beside it. You can see the tower that we were just at from here. And if you turn around, there is yet another staircase that we're going to use to get on top of this green building. A lot of the buildings here are like the same color, so it might be a little confusing at first. But we're on like the hotel casino. Once you get up to this main area, there's another staircase that you can use to get on top to the next floor. And after we come up to that floor, you'll see the pyramid off to your left. You can head straight down where you can drop down to this like rundown area. And then just around the corner, you'll find your next data point terminal. So literally just right down the road from that again, we're going to find one of those high crime areas. I showed this briefly on the map earlier because again, this place is loaded with loot. All of these crime areas are, but if you want to, you can just do like I did here. Just activated my Sandevistan, ran through everyone up the stairs, and immediately after you get up those stairs, you'll find the Relic skill point data terminal just in front of us. So you'll realize these are like all the same distance from each other, and that's why I'm doing them in sort of an order. You can just run through and get these things in like 15 minutes. But again, just down the road here, I actually grabbed this for the first time during the story. One of the missions takes you to this general area, but beneath this big building is like an underpass right next to the road, and hopping behind this little makeshift wall, it's kind of hard to find. You'll find the data terminal containing our next point. So now we're just like west of the center of Dogtown, just down the road from the Coliseum and the pyramid and all of that, off to the opposite side. If you're standing in this road, you can actually see the light of the pyramid, and we're going to be entering a parking garage. This is like a big spray painted, rundown yellow parking garage, and if you go up the stairs here, you can also come from the upper road, which brings you to the top of this building, but I'm starting off at the bottom because it's easier to get to, or just after entering here, you can find your relic point. So just down the road, barely away from that one, you'll be able to find this rundown building. I think it's like a space center or something, I can't really tell. But immediately after entering the doors, you can take a left up the escalators, and just on top of the second escalators, you'll find a shop, and inside of that shop, you will find the data terminal. Now we're going to the other side of the main road to a nearby building, off right before that giant outpost. If you look up, you'll see another green giant tower, and starting off in front of the gates here, of the Barguest yellow spray painted big little fortress gate, you can head right into that gate, and off over to your right, you'll find a fast travel point, which you could just use and travel there if you wanted to, because right after that fast travel point is a relic skill point. Now here we are, literally like the same starting location as the last one. It's just around the corner here. We're off in front of another gate nearby that outpost. It's like right before the entrance to it. And this time we're just under those green towers, which we're going to run in between both of those under the underpass from the road. And here is another high increased crime activity, which if you want to, take all of these guys out first. Again, it's super good for loot. Plus they respawn, so you'll want to take these guys out ASAP and then just come back sometime and take them out again. But I'm just running through here. I've taken out a portion already, and eventually you'll come to an opened up wall that was blown open or something. And just to your left, after entering that wall, you'll find a door. This door does need a technical ability of 15 to open. The boss here does drop a key, but I opened this before I actually tested out if that key worked for this door as well. So if you want, you can take out the boss, see if that key works, or if you don't have a technical attribute of 15, you could reset your attributes and open it that way if you think it's worth it. That is the last relic point though. Don't forget to leave a like for more Cyberpunk 2077 videos. Phantom Liberty and Update 2.0 are both out now, so if you have any extra tips from all of the time that you've been putting into the game, don't forget to leave them down in the comments. See ya.